Speciale, you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for this invitation to speak to you and the American people. I do not sit here today to speak for anybody other than myself and my family, but this is not about me. It's about every American. While I have served in the military since 1987 and in the intelligence community since 2009, I've had a unique vantage point in this country on the issue before us. In the months leading up to January 6th, I served as the Senior Intelligence Collection Strategist for Domestic Terrorism at the National Counterterrorism Center. As an intelligence collector and an analyst, I am trained to pursue hard facts rather than political ideology or what is convenient. Everything I present here today is available on my website, along with a more detailed statement regarding these issues. In late October 2020, I warned the FBI Domestic Terrorism Task Force leadership that we should be thinking about potential black swan events due to the fragility that I saw in our country, the distrust of the government, political polarization, and an extremely volatile social environment. But my warnings were ignored, and I was labeled a domestic extremist by my FBI Joint Duty Assignment Supervisor because I was a supporter of President Trump. At NCTC, I was fighting back against the FBI's desire to get a federal domestic terrorism criminal statute for deterrence purposes, and to treat constitutionally protected activities as a factor, not a constraint. That's KGB and Gestapo-like thinking. At NCTC, I authored 2 highly classified documents, a collection emphasis message and a collection posture statement on domestic extremism, which I am happy to discuss. These, if declassified by Director Gabbard, would greatly illuminate January 6th thinking on the part of the FBI and others leading up to January 6th. On January 5th, in my private capacity, I stopped potential violence on the Capitol and warned rally attendees not to fall for a trap set by instigators and agitators to fight the police. On January 6th, I warned attendees that I was afraid that there would be blood in the streets. And Ashley Babbitt and Roseanne Boylan were both dead within hours of my warnings. When I returned to NCTC, I was terminated because my FBI supervisor believed I was a domestic extremist simply for attending the rally on January 6th. In July of 2021, I published a white paper where I identified the actual causes of January 6th, a distrust of the government, false narratives of gun violence, and a lack of government transparency leading to conspiracy theories, many of which have now been proven to be true. I have provided copies for the congressional record 3 times. This is the 3rd time. For 2.5 years, the FBI, Army Counterintelligence, and Army CID investigated me for extremist activity without any criminal predicate. I have never even been questioned, much less charged. All across the country, many citizens faced raids and arrests for protected activities for deterrence purposes. I have FOIA'd the DOJ and the FBI for the 89 documents in my eGuardian file, but they have ignored my FOIAs. The purpose of this hearing regarding the pipe bomb and my core assessment regarding the FBI's failures regarding January 6th is because the FBI was singularly focused after January 6th to prevent Donald J. Trump from becoming the president again and to cripple, intimidate, and silence his allies and supporters. They never truly pursued the pipe bomber because they were focusing on covering up lies, criminal misconduct, and election interference. And they were hunting Trump supporters. In early 2022, I was a voluntary witness to the January 6th Investigative Committee where I offered them classified documents, classified briefing, which they refused, and I provided multiple documents which they destroyed, including my report. Regarding what happened on January 6th, a protective order has been placed on the body cam footage of many of the officers on the Capitol that day. This must be lifted. The DOJ has marked these as highly restricted. That's not a national security classification. Also, we need to look into the FinCEN violations. There are people at the DOJ that I can direct you to that can speak specifically to these abuses. I go into great detail about these classification abuses in my report, as a matter of fact. It is against government regulation, quote, to classify or otherwise conceal information that is a violation of the law or to prevent embarrassment to a person, organization, or agency. The FBI has been abusing this for decades. The president issued an executive order. Reports have been made to the president. Referrals have been made to DOJ. The result of all of this weaponization has been catastrophic to the public trust in our government, but specifically the FBI. Without accountability and significant reforms, many Americans will lose complete faith in you, in us. We do not want that.
Gentleman's time's expired. If you could wrap up, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I've made a number of suggestions regarding reforms to the White House. The hardest moment in my life was not in a combat zone. It was in my own home, sitting with my wife and my son. At one point, I had to sit down and tell them what to do if the FBI smashed open our door at 4 a.m. in the morning, waving rifles around and pointing at them. Imagine having to tell your 10-year-old son that his friends would do that. I remember him asking me, "Why would your friends do that?" I didn't have an answer. I have done my part. We have done our part. We have placed our careers, our lives, and our livelihood on the line in service to this country, in service to all Americans, red, blue, brown, white. We will continue to serve the nation in accordance with our oath. It is not an oath to our donors or a man or a party. It is an oath to the American people. It is an oath to the Constitution.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speciale. Mr. Nance, you may begin.